Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Shoot the Hoot RAW. We pause this music and get this show started. I'm Chuck from CyberHoot, and today we've got a story that starts with one security guard, one simulated phishing email, and one company response that raises a pretty important question. Did the guard fail the phish, or did the company fail the guard? Now, phishing simulations are supposed to help people get better. They're supposed to expose weak spots before a real attacker does. I mean, that's the whole point. But according to this Reddit post, the guard clicked the simulation, got tagged for remedial training, and says it was treated as disciplinary, even though he also says the guards had never, ever been trained on phishing in the first place. And that's where things get interesting, because there's a big difference between we found something we can improve and gotcha, you failed. One builds people up, the other can make security feel like detention. So today, we're going to walk through the story, talk about where phishing programs can go sideways, and most importantly, show you a better way to do it. Now, we'll talk about teaching before testing, coaching instead of shaming, and rewarding reports, and why the real goal is not a perfect click score. The real goal is a better decision next time. So grab your coffee, keep your mouse finger under control, and let's get into it. This is Shoot the Hoot RAW, unscripted, unfiltered, and unapologetically CyberHoot. So let's dive into this story. Okay. The guard opened what looked like an email from AT&T. What did he do? Click. And suddenly, as Gomer Pyle would say, surprise, 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 right? It was a phishing simulation. Now, testing employees with simulated phishing, hey, nothing wrong with that. I'm a big believer in practice. There's an old principle. You teach before you test, right? Because if I handed you a calculus exam and you've never taken calculus before, I'm not really measuring your math skills. I'm mostly measuring how quickly you can panic. And according to this guard, this is the part that kind of bothers me about his situation, because the guards. He says that the guards had never received and been trained on any phishing at all. Yet after opening the simulated email, he failed the test, was assigned mandatory phishing recognition training, and his manager described it as a disciplinary action. Man, think about that sequence. Test first, lesson second, punishment third. That feels a little bit backwards to me. And to add a little bit more of the insult to injury, the training would be unpaid. What? I gotta take training and my time to take it is gonna be unpaid? Doesn't seem fair to me. Anyways, the simulation actually did something useful. It found a gap, which is great. You want to find the problems, right? That was a good phishing simulation. That's what it's supposed to do, right? But once you find that gap, you got a choice. You can say, aha, we caught you. Or you can say, good, now we know what we need to teach, right? One creates defensiveness, the other creates improvement. Now, security awareness training should work just like learning anything else works, right? You got to teach first, test second, reinforce continuously. And when somebody fails, don't celebrate the failure. Celebrate that you found the weakness before a real attacker did, right? I mean, I used to work for a company where we do white hat assessments. They'd hire us to break into their environments. You know why? They want us to find the weakness before a real attacker could. Then you can fix it. It's proactive. It's positive, right? So, that failed simulation, some failed simulation, it's not necessarily a disciplinary problem. It may simply be a coaching opportunity wearing a phishing costume. So a simple Hoot rule to remember here: don't test for knowledge you never helped build, all right? Because the goal isn't to prove your employees can fail. You're not trying to get them, right? The goal is to help them succeed when the email is actually real. Here's where the story stops being about a phishing click and starts being more about culture. Yeah, I know I keep talking culture. I'm going to keep talking culture all the time. The guard said the 30 minutes of training wasn't really the problem. It was the principle. He felt the company wasn't trying to teach him. He felt like he was being punished. And listen, folks, that matters, because people don't usually resist learning. You don't mind learning, I don't think, right? They resist feeling embarrassed, trapped, or treated like they're the problem. Think about the sequence. Click, gotcha, discipline. I don't know about you. It doesn't work for me. That may feel satisfying if your goal is to catch somebody, of course, right? But if your goal is to build better security habits and a better security culture, we may have just taught the wrong lesson here. Because what might an employee learn from that experience, right? Maybe they learn, hide the mistake. Maybe they stop trusting simulations. Maybe cybersecurity training becomes something they resent. And worst of all, maybe next time something really does look suspicious, they keep it quiet because they don't want the spotlight pointed back at them. Now, I'm not saying that definitely happened here. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that the risk when security starts feeling, that's the risk that you have when security starts to feel like detention. So there's an important difference between accountability and punishment. Accountability says, hey, this matters, let's fix it. Punishment says, you messed up, now you pay the price, right? So one builds confidence, the other builds fear. Can build fear, right? And it most time does. And fear has a funny way of making security problems disappear. Not because they're gone, but because nobody wants to talk about them anymore, right? So that is exactly the opposite of what we want. We want employees raising their hands. We want them saying, hey, I clicked this, or something feels weird about this, or can someone here take a look and help me out? Because fast reporting can turn a bad click into a small incident, but silence can turn it into a very, very, very expensive afternoon. So here's the Hoot rule to take away. Never make employees afraid to tell you they made a mistake, right? Because the safest company isn't the one where no one ever screws up. It's the one where people speak up quickly when they do, and they feel comfortable doing it. That's culture, friends. That's culture. Now, this is the part that I really like, because security awareness doesn't have to feel like punishment. It can actually feel like progress. So here's the simple formula. Teach, simulate, coach, then celebrate. That's it. Teach, simulate, coach, and celebrate. Teach people what good looks like. Give them realistic practice. When they miss something, coach them while the lesson is still fresh in their minds. When they do the right thing, celebrate. Cheer, cheer, cheer with my applause. We have to throw some applause in here. Cheer, 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 intense applause. That's what we should be doing. When they do something well, oh, good job, right? Good job. Celebrate it. Now, if someone puts a simulated Phish, don't humiliate them. Show them what they missed. Give them a quick lesson. Let them try again. Because the goal isn't to make someone feel bad about the last decision. The goal is to help them make a better decision the next time it happens, right? And when someone reports something suspicious, that's where you lean in. Thank them. Recognize it. Even if the email turns out to be legitimate. Because every time someone reports, they're practicing the exact behavior we want them doing when the real thing actually shows up. So here's the principle. People will repeat what gets reinforced. I mean, positive reinforced. We talk about positive reinforcement here at CyberHoot all the time. People will repeat what gets positively reinforced, right? So this is psychology 101, folks. It's not rocket science. If reporting gets ignored, reporting fades. If mistakes get punished, mistakes get hidden. But if good security behavior gets noticed, something magical happens. You start building a culture where people actually want to participate. And that's a lot more valuable than bragging that your phishing click rate just dropped from 6% down to 4%. So we don't need perfect employees. No, you're not going to find them. They're not out there. We need employees who know what to do when something feels wrong. So remember, coach the mistakes while they're fresh. Reward the behavior that you want actually repeated. Psychology 101, folks. And then a simple Hoot rule, train the behavior you want repeated, not the mistake that you want punished. So I've kind of beat that horse to death, right? So let's go here into a transition into our next phase here. We've covered this build better security habits with people, right? Now let's shift gears. Let's see what the nerds have been building behind the scenes here at CyberHoot. It's time for, you guessed it, our nerd update. But first, always but first, and I'll throw this out there, right? Boom. Be the first email. Guards Rock 10 to shootthehoot@cyberhoot.com and get 10% off your next invoice. Type it in, click send, and get that 10. If you're not watching live, no worries. Email us anyway. I might just give you the 10% off. I'm a nice guy like that. The only catch is you're limited to this discount once a month. All right. Time to see what the nerds have been doing while the rest of us were pretending not to notice the release notes, right? So there's a simple principle here. Good software should make complicated things feel easier. That was the theme this round of nerd updates, right? So first up, platform enhancements. Custom Hoot programs, this is awesome. I remember when I was originally building this, we only limited this down to videos, but now our custom Hoot programs can now mix videos, documents, and Hoot Phish together, in addition to making pending programs simpler to edit. So now you can create a program of all those things, not just videos only. We also cleaned up the ad user experience, so CSV uploads and Enter or Google Sync are right where you would expect them to be. In other words, fewer scavenger hunts inside the actual platform. Now, Attackfish also got some more muscle. You can export report results. Man, export report. That's kind of tough. You can export report results to CSV, export campaign and training results, and see relay delivery status directly in email logs. Because we sent it, it's nice. Here's exactly what happened is even better. Next, partners and integrations. We added msportal.ai to the partner integrations area and improved Slack and Teams visuals inside of 10 integrations. We also added more partner branding to the public domain scan. The goal is simple. If you're delivering CyberHoot to customers, it should feel like part of your business and not like something you're trying to duct tape to the side of it, right? Now, subscriptions and training controls. Yes, we did some work here too. Partners can now pause a subscription for up to 90 days instead of immediately canceling. Tenants can pause and resume training too. This sounds like, well, what to do? So big deal. It sounds small, right? But that flexibility matters to our partners. Sometimes the customer doesn't want to leave. They just need to really hit that giant pause button in life that says, I need a minute. I just need a minute. All right. Now, on the reporting and performance side, we fixed a corrupted manager's compliance report and made some serious improvements for larger tenants. So user tables, rankings, imports, summaries, syncing, all that just got faster and more scalable. Because when you got 10 users, almost anything and everything feels fast. But when you have 10,000, suddenly every bad database decision that me and my team have made come back like a ghost from Christmas past. Then our stability and security, right? We improved suppression list handling, hardened our trusted browser geolocation, tightened credential validation, and made some behind-the-scenes security improvements. Not glamorous, no major fireworks, but this is the stuff that keeps the lights on and the weird bugs out. And finally, these updates are getting bigger and bigger, folks. We're killing it over here at CyberHoot. Finally, our API system improvements. We added downloadable Swagger 2.0 API dots and improved how internal admin syncing works after new deployments. That means better integration support and fewer manual steps after setup. So the update this week really comes down to three things: more control, better visibility, and less friction. Or in the proper CyberHoot language, we got smarter code, we got a stronger platform, and we're happier Hooters, right? Now, with that, the nerd can go back into the lab, preferably with a nice cup of coffee for them, or maybe even a pot. But now let's head over to our Q&A. All right. So let's hit three questions that usually come up whenever phishing simulations and consequences get mentioned, right? And remember, if you got any questions, you can throw them into the chat there. I'll do my best to answer. For now, I got some canned ones in here, as you know I always do. Should someone get extra training if they fail a phishing test? Yes. But the goal should be coaching, not punishment. If someone misses the clues, show them what they missed while the mistake is still fresh in their heads. Give them a quick lesson, let them practice again, and move forward. This is where Hootfish shines and provides that guided tour through the phishing simulation usually had just failed. Wow, talk about, you fail a phishing simulation, now you've got an assigned Hootfish, you can walk you through what you got right and wrong, boom, win-win, you get 100%. They feel better, you feel better as the manager, they got their training, win-win-win, right? So remember, a failed simulation should be a learning moment, not cyber detention. Now, next question. Boom. What if the same person clicks over and over again? Yeah, I have one of those, Carl. Now we have to add some accountability to this, right? If someone has been trained, coached, given practice, understands the policy, and she's making the same risky decision, then additional support and eventually escalation may be appropriate, right? But there's a progression here. Look, first mistake, coach. Repeated mistakes, more focused help. Willfully ignoring your policy, then accountability makes the most sense. We don't need to start every story with, congratulations, you clicked. Please report to HR. No one wants to hear that. All right, last question I have, Chan, for you guys. What should companies care about more than the click rate? Look, simple, folks. Reporting behavior. We're trying to change culture. I want to know, did the employees recognize something suspicious? Did they report it? Did they improve the next time around? And are repeat mistakes going down? Because someone clicking a simulation is one data point. Someone quickly reporting a real phishing email to protect the entire company. That's the behavior we want to build. Communication, the ability to report. So the big takeaway is accountability is good. Fear is not a security strategy. And the Hoot rule, remember here, progressively coach behavior before progressively punishing people, right? And take this off here, boom. And that brings us right back to the guard, the security guard. He clicked the simulated phishing email. That's exactly the kind of mistake a phishing simulation is supposed to uncover. Good stuff. But the real question is not, did he fail? The real question is, what did the company do with the failure? Did we say, gotcha, you clicked, you failed? Or did we say, good, We found something we can improve before a criminal actually finds it. Now, second mindset is where real security culture starts, because the purpose of phishing testing is not to catch people doing something wrong. We're not trying to do that. It's trying to help people recognize something wrong before it becomes real. Teach them, test them, coach them, celebrate their reports. And if someone keeps making the same risky decisions after meaningful training and coaching, then yes, accountability may have to take place. But accountability should come after education, not instead of it. And that's the difference between building a security culture and building a workforce that is afraid of the security team. So today's final hoot rule to take away is a phishing simulation should create a teachable moment, not a punishable moment. The guard, the gotcha, the damage, said, but there's a better way. We're not saying phishing testing is bad. Far from it. Love it. We're saying instead, do it better, right? Because when people feel supported, they learn. When people feel safe reporting, they speak up. And when people speak up quickly, everybody gets safer. Listen, I'm Chuck from CyberHoot, and it's been a joy sharing this with you today. If this episode gave you something useful, share with another IT pro or an MSP manager or a fellow owl, right? The more people we can get thinking differently about security awareness, the stronger the whole flock gets. So until next time, I want you to laugh, I want you to learn, and I want you to hoot up. Oh, let's see. What's that here? Boom. Oh, I'm sorry, I just got a question in. Let's see. How do you feel about this cybersecurity quote? Let's work with our employees, not against their ignorance. Sorry, I'm gonna throw this in real fast. All right. Yeah. So here's the thing: when you're working against people's ignorance, you're pointing them out. But not in a good way. We want to celebrate people, right? Lift them up, not put them down. So working with them is those coachable moments. Test them, teach them, test them, celebrate them, work together, right? That work against ignorance, no. Never. That doesn't build culture, it breaks it down. So of course, work with your employees, show them the right ways, celebrate their reporting, and build a culture that you can stand behind. And then your employees will feel free talking to you. They'll feel comfortable. That's when cybersecurity culture starts to change. That's when your cybersecurity foundation gets stronger. All right. So again, until next time, I want you guys to laugh, I want you to learn, and I want you to hoot up. Hoot up!